I am diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, and borderline personality disorder. Growing up, these disabilities made my life very challenging. It led me to make many wrong choices. I ended up in jail, in prison. In 2005, I overcame these obstacles, and I went to school for my childhood dream to become an underwater welder. The adrenaline-packed lifestyle of being an underwater welder, a biker, and some life-triggering events triggered a manic episode so severe that I attempted to kill myself in 2013. I died, the doctors brought me back to life, and I was in a coma for 2 weeks. When I woke up, my life was drastically different. I had severe brain damage. From 2013 to 2022, I was in and out of inpatient hospitals 4 to 6 times a year. Due to treatment-resistant bipolar, I was prescribed many medications. I had pharmaceutical-induced lupus in my hands, vertigo so bad that it would drop me to my knees. My hand shook so bad that food would fall off the silverware. And up to 3 years ago, my wife had to feed me at the dinner table. In the early summer of 2022, a more homeopathic approach found me and changed my life. It allowed the lining to come out. I safely came off my mental health medications. My lupus was gone, my vertigo was gone, my handshakes were gone. This allowed me to go back to school for my passion, which was welding. After taking a tour at the Delta Welding, I was so impressed that I enrolled in 18 credit hours. The second day of class, and the welding instructor asked me if I was a student worker, where I had worked for 4 semesters. That semester I pulled off a 4.0 and I learned something. I really enjoyed researching and writing papers, which is something everyone told me my whole life I could not do. The second semester, I decided to take some more education classes. That semester I was asked to meet the Lieutenant Governor and Dr. Gavin and talk about the Michigan Reconnect program. I took the opportunity to write the state of Michigan a thank you letter for the Michigan Reconnect program, and I presented that to the Lieutenant Governor when I was able to meet him. That letter went on to win the Don Kellogg Writer Award at Delta College, and I pulled off another 4.0. 2 very important things happened that semester though. After I told an instructor that I had bipolar and borderline personality disorder, he looked at me and asked me, do I have to be worried about my other students in my class? Dumbfounded by this, I just kind of shook my head no and laughed and said, you watch way too much Netflix and like But I realized, that made me realize what my mission was supposed to be, was to break the stigma attached to mental illness. The second important thing that happened that semester is I walked by a sign on the wall at Delta College at the end of the semester and it said Bay City Triathlon. And I was intrigued by this, so I investigated it. It was a 3-mile kayak and a 12-mile bike and a 3-mile run. So I decided to train vigorously to show everyone that mental illness does not define someone. It is a mere obstacle we must overcome in our lives. When I crossed that finish line, that race changed my life. That summer I decided to break the stigma by achieving unachievable goals. In the fall of 2023, I changed my major to psychology in hopes of earning a PhD. I joined the psychology club and I started the Tri-Sport Club here at Delta College. I decided to take every opportunity that I had to research, write, and talk about mental health. And the students listened. Student after student came to me, opening up about their mental health obstacles. They had been hiding their whole lives. I could see the burden just fall off their shoulders as they talked to me. All I could do was listen, thank them for talking to me and explaining this to me, and give them the resources that I have used myself in the past to overcome my mental illnesses. And that's where the Delta College Mental Health Fair was born. A mental health fair that provides a plethora of mental health resources for all kinds of mental health obstacles. I reached out to all the right people at Delta, and hit a lot of dead ends, and I was told no. I knew this idea was really important, but I remembered meeting with Dr. Gavin, and I remembered how empathetic he was towards mental illness. So I wrote him an email that led us here today.
So Dr. Gavin received an email, and I get the email. And that was the first introduction I had to Brandon. And it's really, when I read the email, there was passion there. And he was receiving no's at every single stage he went. And so I had to understand a little bit more about Brandon and his passion. So I met with Brandon several times, and I knew exactly what he wanted. He had more passion. It's hard to have more passion to drive success for students, but he pushed my passion to try to deliver something for Brandon. And so he wanted to do this huge event. What does it look like? And we were striking our nose because he was trying to make it bigger than what it needed to be. And so we broke it down, and we said we're gonna have a mental health fair, something that really aligns with the work that we're doing for students with mental health and the holistic support we're trying to do. And he wanted to be the driver of it. And we love that, when students want to be the driver for supporting their own peers. And so with that, this was our mental health mission statement. And then I'll let Brandon finish the rest. Well, no, then I got him connected. I missed the run through yesterday, so I got him connected with all these different offices on campus. Allison Ginter was a huge support to Brandon, guiding him when I wasn't available, and so I really appreciate her effort. But all of our campus involvement is listed here on the screen, and then Brandon took it from there with our community.
Shelly and I put together a team of students, staff, and faculty. We made a list of every mental health resource in the Tri-County area. Just started calling them. During my spring break, I was on the phone every day calling mental health resources, telling them my story and inspiring them to come be a part of the first mental health fair. By the end of spring break, two things happened. I caught the flu, and we got 30 mental health resources to come to the first ever mental health. Between spring break and the mental health fair, the team was we were in constant communication with all the resources, updating them on what was going on at the fair. Student engagement. The problem with mental health is no one wants to talk about it, unless it's being talked about. If the conversation is brought up, people want to talk about it. It's the invitation to the conversation that breaks the stigma. So that's what I did. We made a commercial with the students, by the students.
Stigma is defined as a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person.
Do you face mental health stigma? Do you have friends and family that struggle with mental health?
As someone who faces mental health obstacles on a daily basis, I know the struggles of stigma. I can also tell you firsthand how impactful mental health services continue to be on overcoming my obstacles. Thanks to the help of Delta College, I am bringing together 30 mental health services to provide resources for faculty and students.
Downstairs in front of the cafeteria, undergo 22nd and 23rd from 10:30 to 1:30 p.m.
30 different resources available that will provide mental health service to help you or your loved ones overcome your obstacles in your life.
Now, not to worry, if you're busy, we'll be zooming the entire event.
It's getting hard to fight it, consider me a loner, but I don't really like it.
Remember what I said, it's the invitation of the conversation that breaks the stigma. I plan to interview on a loudspeaker each one of the mental health resources and have a real conversation about mental health for everyone to hear. To make sure everyone could understand it, we found a sign language student interpreter. We zoomed the entire event for all students can watch. In between the interviews I got up and I walked around the cafeteria and I walked behind students, staff, and faculty just to listen. everyone was talking about mental health. The stigma was broken for 2 days, and it was beautiful. The goal was to break the stigma and bring mental health resources to Delta College. We completed that goal.
The impact was felt across the board. I received several email communications from faculty, from other students, and when I started seeing them, I said, Dr. Gavin, we have to bring this to the board for the student success piece, because it is really about reducing the stigma and helping students understand that we are here and that mental health is okay to seek guidance and support for. And so these are just some of the student quotes from the event, and it really is about reducing the stigma. I don't think we can do enough to do that and to get the word out, and there's a future. Brandon has even loftier goals coming out.
The future of mental health is just as important as the past accomplishments of mental health. 1 in 5 people suffer from mental health. 65% of students who experience mental health obstacles in college and withdraw from school do so because of their mental health obstacles. What would it look like if Delta College held a mental health fair every fall and every winter semester for students to have access to mental health resources to overcome their mental health obstacles? From 2010 to 2022, suicide rates have increased 30%. What would it look like if staff and faculty at Delta College knew how to identify mental health warning signs and knew how to communicate to the students properly and were mental health first aid certified and suicide assist certified? From 2010 to 2022, there was a 350% increase in school active shootings. What would it look like if there was a mental health room, a safe space for students to go to get mental health resources for the community, a mental health peer-to-peer student-led meetings that students could attend and discuss their mental health and not have to wait for mental health services? What would it look like if every student that graduates with a diploma and it got a little booklet with the local mental health services in the area that they can reach out to when they're on their new journey in life, when they leave Delta and no longer have access to Delta College mental health services? What would it look like if we all worked together to break the stigma and lowered these ridiculous percentages? Thank you.
Trustee Clark. First off, not a question, just a comment. I want to say thank you for having the courage to stand up there and tell us your story, tell others your story. Especially being a male, we all know that there's a big stigma on men with mental health, and being able to discuss it and breaking down those barriers is important, and being that role model that other students can look at and putting stuff on like that gets the discussion going. It's extremely important, and I'm sure, like I said, there's a lot of students who are benefiting, and that discussion will keep happening. So thank you.
Trustee Archie? I always say that the student success part is always my favorite part. Mostly, we're talking about the awards the student received and all things that they're doing. What I have to say is, Brandon, you're winning at life. We talk about marketing this thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Look, I mean, there's nothing to research at this point. Your story pulled at my heartstrings. It was real. The passion that you exude when you speak about it says that it's real and it's necessary. And other students need that. And thank you for not giving up. I know it's easy to give up when you hear no, 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 and other no's. But eventually you get a yes. So thank God for Dr. Gavin calling up Shelley. Get you a yes. And I look forward to what you're gonna do. Hopefully we can get this fall and spring thing going, because I saw a student that I knew in the video. She actually was a classmate of my son, and I know her. And so I'm glad that she connected with what you were doing, and she actually just graduated. She did early college or something, what we call it, but she just graduated. So excellent job, keep up the great work, and I hate to be, all church and state, but keep doing God's work. Thank you.
Trustee Hamlin and then Raleigh.
Just more of the same. Your persistence and humanity and transparency is changing lives, and you already have, but to be able to do this as a student is just amazing. And I would love to see the same kind of video centered around you, Will, with you as the communicator, because you're darn good. Yeah, and so emblematic of our adult learners, a little bit older than some students, and I think that you would be a great messenger for advertising our new Will service to getting that out. Thank you for all you've done.
Trustee Raleigh.
Thank you for not listening to the people who said you couldn't write.
Yeah.
Thank you for not listening to the people who said no when you felt like you hit the dead ends. You're a very elegant speaker. If Delta College Public Broadcasting hasn't reached out to interview you yet for Dateline Delta or to present your initiative, I would encourage them to do so. If you want any connections to the local health source hospital, let me know. My wife works there. I believe in not just having the stigma and getting people resources, contrary to what you might have thought by my earlier comment. My sister's on the board at Bay Health Systems. If you need a connection in Bay City to present your initiative, feel free to grab Kay in the office for Dr. Gavin, and they'll get you in touch with me. If you want to present to MCCA, the Michigan Community College Association, and stuff, or give us permission to use your video or your interview on Delta College Public Broadcasting, be happy to take that to the Michigan Community College Association to present your initiative. And finally, my wife's got a relative that just retired from underwater welding. If you need any connections there, feel free to, if you're looking for a job, let me know. I'll see if that position's been filled or not.
Excellent.
I just have one other comment. As someone who grew up in a home with a mother that had similar experience as you had, I know how important it is to live in a nurturing environment with someone you love. And so thank you to your beautiful wife for doing that.
Well, Brandon, just want to say thank you again, and I'll come back to Trustee Middleton. Thank you for the presentation. You answered my question towards the end, because as you were talking, I was saying, I hope they're going to do this annually. I hope they're going to do this annually. So I think it's so important. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your wife being here to support you. But this is just excellent, not only for you, the students, and for Delta College. Trustee Middleton.
A lot of people live their whole lives and never find their purpose. Congratulations on finding it so early. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you, Shelley. Now you all know why I kept